Hello, everyone, and welcome to Animazing Collector Circle Chat. We got a pretty impressive group of people here. We're getting quite popular.
All right.
Share to your friends, family, people who you think needs to know about the topic today, which we'll get really soon. Might be about right stuff. But anyway, before that, let's get to introducing people here because we got two new people. But first, before that, let's go in order. Brandon, you can start.
I've been an avid anime collector and video game collector, art book collector for a long time. Some of my favorite series are Nana, Cowboy Bebop, Space Dandy, Love Hina is another one. It's really good. And yeah, so thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Domino. I've been here several times, and I collect a variety of things between anime, manga, figures, video games, plushies, and I've always enjoyed being here. So it's good to see you guys again.
Hello, my name is Roger. I happen to run Animazing Collection Company. I kind of sort of collect some anime and some manga and some other stuff. It's been always a pleasure working and talking with all my friends here on Animazing and the group chat. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jordy. I've been into anime since about the mid 80s. My primary collection is Yurusei Yatsura. I have a huge room dedicated to nothing but UI stuff, as some of you have seen. My current project right now is digitally archiving all the classic vintage anime magazines all the way up to the year 2000. And so far, I've done or collected over about 1,100 issues so far digitally. Still got many more to go.
Most excellent.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Wag Queen, as Roger dubs me. I collect all anime media that is made in the US, along with all the pre-order, gift with purchase, extra swag that is packed with it. In fact, that's like my number one fandom right there is swag. I also collect old media and old publications from multiple original distributors and publishers. So if it's a Bandai or if it's NIS America, I probably have it. And I also like slam dancing and slam romancing.
What? Carl?
Nothing. That's a Syphil and Ollie
I'll
reference.
go ahead and edit it out.
Bye.
That's funny.
Whoever's next.
It'll be my buddy Will.
I'm William. I've been collecting for about 18 years. My primary interest is pretty much just in the English dub stuff from like the year 2000 onward. I collect wall scrolls and plushies too.
Nice.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Hi, I'm Jenny. I collect, I guess, a little bit of everything. And I do cosplay. Thanks for having me.
Very
Always.
Welcome.
Always.
Very
Hey
brief.
everyone,
Me.
I'm Koyomi.
Very quick.
I'm Koyomi and collect figures, anime, manga, a little bit of assorted here and there, but really just kind of spread across the spectrum. Figures are my passion, though obviously I have more anime and manga. If only due to sheer size and price and whatnot. But yeah, it's I've collected increasingly in recent years, and I don't know. I guess that's about all there is to know about me.
Oh, there's more.
Oh, and troublemaker too. Yeah.
There you go. I was wondering
Like
where
you're
you're
big.
at. So
How dare.
I guess I'm last. My name's Ed. I collect a little bit of everything. I proctor this chat group here, help Roger a little bit on the group itself, and happy to see all this great collectors here that kind of focus on a little bit of different things, which is really good from this next topic we're going to talk about here, which is the act of buying, the collector's dilemma. When do you know about when to stop buying, or do you keep buying? Well, budgeting.
You don't.
What happens?
Is there a stop? What is stop? Is it tasty?
I've tried and failed every time.
It's
Buy
only a
them
couple
all.
conditions where you can stop, where people like me would stop, and either you run out of room or you run out of money.
I don't really have a stopping point. I mean, as a completionist, you kind of want to own like anything and everything that's related to anything that you've already purchased. So there isn't a stopping point until you own like everything associated to the series or your initial purchase.
Yeah, there's a completionist. Yeah, I have some of that problem as well.
It
Yeah.
comes with a downside though, because once you get started on something, if they come out with those theoretical retellings and that stuff, it's kind of a pain to shell out cash for those when there are so few scenes that are actually new content though.
Mm-hmm.
I think Sentai is particularly bad in that one because I know, like, I think like the Made in the Abyss recaps. I think Sentai themselves just took a lot of content and basically recycled it. I don't think they actually did that in any of the other regions. I think that was just Sentai's thing, so they could get more money for the. I think it was the Wandering Twilight movie, which they just tossed those into.
Yep. Not too surprising.
A moment. There's also
Well, I
a
think
moment where you start realizing that you can't buy everything you like, and
Yes,
you
you
have to
can.
start focusing. You have to start focusing on specific things.
What?
I mean,
Because
no,
like
I think it's harder in the beginning, but after you've been collecting for a while, it's really not that hard financially to reach a point where it's easy enough to get everything. It's just hard in the beginning.
okay,
Beginning's
well,
easier because you can do a lot of less expensive, more commonly
look at how
available
much-
drafts.
let's look at how much storage it takes to put away a manga collection of all the original prints versus how much space it takes to put away first prints of just the DVDs and Blu-rays, and then eventually you're basically throwing your money at these two things, and then you want plushies and wall scrolls and figurines. It's too much for one house, really.
Help
In some
me.
places. Unless
me.
you're filthy rich like Roger.
Right?
Yes, I agree with you because space and money is a big limitation. If you're just starting out today, let's say you're 17, 18, you don't necessarily have a lot of income. You're still a high school student, and everything looks shiny and brand new. And I want this, I want that. You've got all these other friends that are like, oh, look what I just got. Oh, I want that too. And it just becomes huge. I could literally fill my house with just lump stuff everywhere, posters, calendars. I can make a wall of pencil boards even, and that would just be the Lum Museum. That would be the house.
Yeah,
I
so you do
appreciate
have
them.
collectors that like to focus on like their one main thing. You know, either it could be Sailor Moon, a big property like Sailor Moon, Dragon Ball Z, the aforementioned Urusei Yatsura. You know, there's going to be a specific one. I've seen other ones where people they're searching, right? They just don't know what they want yet. Typically, the newbie that everything shows shiny and nice and looking out. So I want to collect all this new stuff, and they start getting everything. But after a while, they get kind of seasoned. Then they start kind of looking at, no, I don't have any much room left, or there's just too much of it, of the other stuff. What do I really want to have? So they start focusing on those couple different things and start expanding out of that. Then at that point, the collection really explodes. I tell you what.
And then you
A lot
send
of
all the
people-
other stuff to Florida.
Yeah.
A lot of people with the greatest collections they're either the greatest manga collection or the greatest anime collection or the greatest figure collection. It's never my greatest everything collection.
It all depends what you mean by everything.
You can't do everything. There's not enough houses. There's not enough towers, to house everything.
Yeah.
It just the
No.
container will always limit you, and then the rest of it going to have to be stored. If you can't see it, then it's no fun. It's not really fun. Then you start saying, well, I want to put my most favorite stuff, and then that's why you start having a lot of shifting around and on the displays and what you really want, but you still have all the other stuff that people haven't seen. So yeah.
I've reached that point in my collecting where I'm having a hard time enjoying a lot of my collection because it's covered by the rest of the collection. And so I'm in this internal dilemma where I want to downsize, but I still keep adding to it. So I'm like, I'm going to read these this pile of manga and decide which one I'm keeping or not. And then I'm like, oh, 10 more manga. So it's like, okay. So even though I'm finally moving some manga out, I'm already replacing it with other manga. And it's like, oh.
That's you see a good deal on something. Like I said, oh, look at a whole big set of Red River. Oh my God, I can't believe I've seen this thing.
Exactly.
I really wasn't trying to buy it, but here it is.
That'd be a good deal if you could find that for cheap. I luckily have that. I only paid for one volume, and it was the last volume. And my friend gave me the 120, or not 120, the first 27 volumes. And then I found volume 28 randomly at Hastings before they closed, and I bought it. So I have the whole set, and I only paid for one volume.
Nice.
That's how I got rid
I
of it.
still need half the volumes.
I never get that lucky.
I think like
that was lucky. I'm a very good friend.
I think like for me, as far as like collecting goes, there's not only like the particular series or maybe there's a merchandise tied to a particular show that I necessarily have to have mentality, but it's one of those things where it's like, is that a good investment? And also what's tied into that is emotional impact. Maybe you've had, for example, for me, I mean, I've got stuff here that like I've had since, gosh, for years, and there might be a fun little story about how did I track that down, and when it comes to downsizing, do I want to get rid of something like that?
Yeah.
That I find, because I think there's one of those things with collectors that separates the idea of having something and wanting something to having that feeling of nostalgia, whether it's the nostalgia of enjoying a pastime of that particular series or figurine or whatever it may be, but there's also that connection you have with it. And I think that's something that's integral to collecting. So, for example, I mean, I've got a poster here from 1992, or no, older than that. It's 1997, I want to say, that I have, and it's Revolutionary Girl Utena. And it's an ad poster for the LD VHS release of the first volume. And I don't ever want to get rid of it, but when it comes to downsizing, I'm like, how many posters do I have? I only have X amount of spots for a wall, different areas of my room here that I can, place the posters that I want to, display. But then I've also got other posters or tapestries that I'm like, I really want to display those, kind of like what you were saying, but I think what does tie into that is nostalgia and that emotional impact that you might have that's meaningful to you. And that's what's hard too, especially when you go online and you shop, because you might find a really good deal on something, and you're like, oh, I gotta have that. For example, like Snow White with Red Hair, I've got the Japanese Blu-ray box set, or the Japanese single volume sets for that show. But I have the 2 box sets, and at the time I wasn't able to get the storage box that were included for the Amazon Japan edition. So I like went on a hunt to be able to like find the Animate store versions because I love the artwork for it. And so one year I found one storage box from Animate, and then the other, like years later, like 5 years later, I found the other one, and I don't want to get rid of those. But I'm also like, where's that cutoff? Where do I make that cutoff?
Probably in a,
it's tough.
In a bad case until the day you die. If that's
hard enough.
You got people that have been collecting it since they were youngins and they're like 80 years old. I got like David on he's in his 70s. He still has his stuff, and of course he downsized some stuff, but he probably would just pick up something he wants to pick up. So yeah, I think the fever, if it's in your genes, so you'll tend to, and whenever you see that part that the gene activates, I gotta have it. So, I can't believe I've seen one of these things. I've never seen one of these. I said, I gotta have it. It's a boom.
There is also the occasional new IP that will just really grab your attention. For example, when My Dress Up Darling came out, a year or so ago, every so often that new IP comes along where you want to collect quite a bit from it. And really, a lot of people, if you look at what your favorite things are to collect from, you'll probably find that most of them are probably 10 years or less old.
Queen, I think you wanted to say something?
No.
No? Okay.
No.
I thought you did. Everyone kept interrupting. So.
When you start out with the U.S. releases, if you start adding in the Japanese, there's really it's an infinite number of everything.
Oh
You
yeah.
can't collect everything. I mean, you'd have to be super wealthy to collect everything, or super, have a really big house with lots of wall space.
A 4,000
Shelving.
square foot house.
You need
And
more than that, actually. If you're
and
going
no
with
natural disasters
release.
ever.
In a warehouse. I live in a warehouse. Just
Yeah,
have
Tears. Well, I mean, yeah, a warehouse would do it.
Just like Right Stuff.
Yeah.
Ceiling to floor shelving. One giant wall.
It would be amazing living in a warehouse and having that kind of
that's a great idea.
That kind of focus. I see what happens. It's like that. Was that was a Star Wars ranch thing? I've seen the most extreme I've ever seen about collection go. There's like a whole spread. All it is about Star Wars. I saw that. So this is what I want. I want to have a whole. I would like to have that, the whole spread. But yeah, there's simply not enough room, not enough time, not enough money to do all.
Even harder, because I'm a minimalist at heart. So it's like, I have to limit myself.
That'd be
impossible.
It's impossible. You can't have that. You can't have the negative and the positive. Like you gotta have.
I don't even collect anything else in the world. I don't have shoes or clothing or any of that. I have like 3 outfits.
I was gonna say there must be some clothing.
I mean, yeah, but I don't go out of my way spending money on things that most women pour their income into.
Right.
So all of my income that I have and all my interest goes into anime collecting, and even then I have a selective list that I stick to.
But it's this first generation. Yeah, that's
U.S. releases only.
I think for me, like something I also go into, especially when I go to conventions, is I'll do research on an item. Like I'll look up on my phone. I'm like, okay, like, how rare is this product?
Your conventions have internet?
Is it part of my collection? Because it's interesting to like see where that journey has gone. Okay, for example, like I'm a huge fan of Shinichiro Watanabe's works, so I try to collect, Cowboy Bebop, Carol and Tuesday stuff, even though that IP is like 2019. And I try to collect his works, because I want to support him as well, and the people that made those shows. But also, it's like, you go in and you're like, how hard is this? I mean, I've got some illustrations from Carol and Tuesday that's like a crepe collaboration. And Koyomi, you know what I'm talking about.
I was going to say, and he gave me some, and they're awesome.
Yeah, they're great. And, they that event actually had a special B2 size tapestry. They only gave out a few of them to it was like a drawing. And I'm like, I would love to have that. But I'm also like, what I'm going to take, like if I had that, what I'm going to take down on my wall to display it. There's dilemmas to being a collector, and it's difficult. It really is. And I think there's so many variables involved. There's nostalgia, there's rarity of a product, there's particular series or of whatever it may be, like Blu-ray or figurine or art book or even just a keyframe. There's also pricing. How expensive is this? Do I want to shell out, $250 on a figure when I find out, a couple years down the road that it dropped down to like $90, something like that, So I think one of the coolest parts of collecting is the journey, and really kind of like discovering it. I mean, it would be like walking into a bookstore or, going into these conventions and you just kind of look around, like, oh, what do you find? Because when you're on that little journey of like collecting, you might find something that will really surprise you. And I think that's one of the coolest aspects of collecting. Because you're like, oh, I like this artwork, and you go to buy it and you research it, and then you find out about the show, and you start watching the show, and you're like, oh my gosh, like this show is like really good, and then you start collecting into another IP, that kind of thing. So there's a lot of variables involved, but I love collecting. It's so fun.
that's true. But at my convention,
it's great.
At my convention, there's no Wi-Fi. You can't just on the fly look up anything at the con. The internet is ridiculous.
Oh yeah, any of the ones in Atlanta are like that too.
And they usually reserve it for dealers only, so that you can't even join the Wi-Fi network half the time. And back in the day, it used to be I'd bring a piece of paper with a list. It was just like, if it wasn't on the list, it wasn't going home with me. So.
Yeah, the bigger the collection, the convention, the harder it is for internet. Unless the convention, very few cases can actually provide internet service for attendees. Very, very few, but it can happen.
You're lucky enough to have one of the providers of the area that has the reach to get into the convention hall's metal exterior, then you're lucky.
No, it's usually the convention hall itself that provides it, because it's such a big center that they would just provide guest internet service. Which
speaking of like collections, for me, there's a show. Okay, as far as like pricing goes, there's a box set. Well, it came in a set on From Japan website. It's like a Tenso service. I may have mentioned it before, but they had the Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works, both Japanese sets, but it came with the storage box that has all of the swords like outlined throughout the entire storage box. It's impossible to find, but it's like $1,400. And just for the two sets and the storage box, but like for me, I couldn't justify spending that. Has there ever been a moment for you all that there was a piece of a collection that you felt like you needed to have, but you saw the price tag and was like, you have to find the justification in it?
Yes, that would have been the Legend of Galactic Heroes set from Sentai. It's about $750. It's because the scale of it. I mean, because I spent $500. It's still a lot of money to me. For the Garden of Sinners, I had no thought. I just did it. But on the Legend of Galactic Heroes, I said, you know what, man, $750. I need to hang out. It'll come out with a smaller set. I bet it'll come out with a smaller set, and I'll wait for the smaller set and get it that way. Of course, it never didn't happen, and I was stupid in many ways. So unfortunately, I lost out on that opportunity. But that's strictly because I thought the value for the price wasn't equal to what the set offered. The more I looked at it, I said, well, I would love to have it. I would still, if it was one popped up for $750, I would buy it. I have the cash for it now. But at the time, I said, nope. I focused on Fate Stay Night stuff, so that was my excuse.
I totally get it.
I'm just gonna bask in the fact that now he has like a million reasons why it's okay he missed it.
Yeah, I come up with more excuses every time I think about it too.
Every time we have this conversation, he's like, ah!
I can't believe it. Especially my buddy William Pack told me about, hey, there's a set that was available for $500. At the time, it's like, no, I can't believe it. As it was not the right time for the money was not right. It was not right, and I was like, I can't believe it. That was my problem. One of my worst disasters ever. I
didn't want to wait on it because if you ordered it from them, they gave you a personalized thank you letter, and I was like, I want that too.
Swag. You got her swag. So
you know what I mean.
They gave you that letter, right?
To persuade me to buy it. It wasn't even a contest. I wanted it anyway.
It's because they knew how much the set costs, and they're saying, well, anyone who's really buying this set is really sacrificing a lot to pay for it.
Not really.
Was there like around 1,000 sets? It was about
500 or something. Yeah.
It was something crazy low.
1,000.
And then each one was numbered, and it was hung out for about maybe 2.5 years or something like that.
Oh, so I'm pretty sure I'm the last one to buy one because the minute I bought mine, it said out of stock.
That's what happened with Jenny, because she was giving us a warning about, hey, there's only very few sets left, and you better get it if you want to grab it. I remember that.
I kicked in the FOMO for people.
Which was the set?
Thank you, Jenny.
Multitasking.
You're welcome.
Legend of Galactic Heroes.
Oh, the one that got away.
Yeah, that's the one
Oh
thing
my
Well,
gosh.
who knows?
my
Who
collection.
knows? One
I
day
see
I
it
might have to
occasionally.
sell my collection off for a kidney or something, and you'll cash in there.
You'll see occasionally pop up anywhere from between $1,500 to about $2,000 that would pop up on eBay. I mean, if I wasn't going to spend $750 on that and begin with, I wouldn't spend $2,000 on it. It's not enough.
50, don't
Most
you
of
know,
the time,
but
I think the highest one where those sold
it
for was
was
like
something
5 grand.
special from like the Fate Stay Night, something big. I don't
Oh
know.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I would
like
probably
Brandon said.
I would probably do it. It was big enough, but it does the garden. But that's simply the Legend of Galactic Heroes. Even though it's really nice, you can actually get the retelling of it from Funi, for much less. You get the 4 or 5 sets from the Legend of Galactic Heroes redone by what was it from what,
Oh, you're talking
from
about
Sunrise? Yeah, from Sunrise.
the
So
new one? Oh.
Yeah.
There's
so
only
what
3
whatever
seasons.
makes you feel better, Roger.
Makes me
Well,
feel a lot better. I can go to that set, and you know what? I still got this particular version.
prices
Not
are
the other
going
one. I
up.
would really like to have it, but I always have this version.
Prices are
I
going up
also get
now.
the import version of it. You can get there's a really nice multi-part
Oh
set you
yeah,
can
I've
get
seen it.
for Legend of Galactic Heroes.
It's expensive still.
Yeah, $1,500. That's
Yeah.
only $1,500. You can get that set instead. It's all like nice boxes. I said, if you had to spend the money, I'd just do it from the Japanese one. They always have the better sets, no matter what. I don't know what it is, but they sure have dog picture sets.
Here's the thing, though. You're talking about how you have to preserve, how you are judging whether or not it's worth the money at the time. Right now, it's getting to the point where if you don't buy it when it comes out at the retail price, you're going to be spending 5 times as much in a month.
Yeah.
So it's like, can you really afford to pass up $100 now when it won't be like when the price won't go down for 5 years?
That's
Exactly.
I think that's just the problem with the market right now with new releases
Yeah.
coming out. That
Yeah, it
people
totally
assume
is.
that anime is still a big, selling point. It's like,
Big
oh, there's
deal.
people that need to spend all the money on, and they know it. So it's like, oh yeah, they're
Well, look
going
at
to pay 5 times the
Seller's
amount,
market.
sure.
100%
Jujutsu
seller's
Kaisen's
market. And we're
limited edition. It was
at their
$100
mercy.
retail, and there wasn't anything better about it than any other limited edition. But all of a sudden now they're marking up everything like $40 more.
Yep.
So it's getting
Oh,
ridiculous.
yeah.
It's getting to the point where you
Couple
smart
$100.
decisions.
Yeah.
Depending
I
on
feel
the
it's
set, yeah, they can go significantly, like the Birdie the Mighty series. The
Oh
four.
God.
Yeah, you got you can try to get different the 3 different versions of it. Then the one that you want to have has like a couple $100. It's kind of hard to swallow, but if you wanted it,
No, the state that we're
It's like
going
a Roger
into.
problem.
Well, the state we're going into with physical media being harder and harder to find, it's just going to get more expensive.
It is,
Yep.
unfortunately.
Unfortunately, yeah.
See, that's the hard part with the vintage collector, because if you find it, you have to snatch it because you may not see it again or at that level of quality. It's just going to get older, harder to find.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
For my collection, sometimes I have to buy a box of 80% stuff I've already gotten, don't want, to get the 20% that I have not seen before and need.
Yeah.
Yes, I feel that so hard right now.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Eventually, you're going to get people that are what I call priced out of the market, where I've seen it with figure collecting, where people are like, I'm just out. I don't want to pay what figures are going to. Here's
I'm
my
selling
whole
off my
collection.
stuff.
Yep, and they sell it off. Or, I knew one friend that had a huge collection, and eventually he had kids, and he needed to take care of his kids, and so selling it was just, life happens.
Yep.
Yeah, and
Eventually,
then they do that thing that I said, which is
A lot
they
of
put
times, either room or economics that
Yep.
put a damper on it. Where you make a decision that there's this too much of it, and I'd rather do this other thing.
Oh yeah, I think a lot of people get into where, like, kind of with me, I'm going, I'd really like to travel and put my money more towards that and, like, experience some things instead of, like, I just bought another Blu-ray this week, a whole set of anime.
Congratulations.
Yeah, everything's a balance.
It is.
It really is. Yeah,
It becomes
moderation.
that way.
Yeah.
I think when you're younger, it's really not. But I think for a lot of, I don't know, like, I don't know with the younger generation, are they going to be more about streaming and less about, how many things they have in their house?
Oh, companies are
As
trying to say it's less on the things in your house.
yeah.
That's what they're
I
trying
would
to push.
say,
Mhm.
I would say a
Yeah.
life circle. And just like my parents had vinyl and became out of sort, and now it's got back into vogue. Because the
Oh
young
yeah.
never, never had the thing
It's gonna
before.
happen. I think so too. Where like maybe eventually when they get older, they're gonna want to collect something that's sentimental, and then they're gonna start collecting anyway.
Yeah,
But yeah,
Might,
has to
might
do
be
with
a people in
emotion
Possible.
for
here though.
sure.
Well,
it's
here.
possible.
Involved, you want to
I'm
touch.
kind of wondering, is physical media going to go out? Is streaming gonna come in, kind of thing?
Well, the
Is
thing
this
is,
going
the
to be some
collector's
sort of
market will
change?
always be there.
Yeah, it
Yes.
will. It totally will.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
will just
Mhm.
be a really smaller market, but it will still be there, and there'll still be companies catering to that
I mean,
niche
you can still find videotapes.
audience.
You know,
Yeah.
there's going to be a smaller market, and there's going to be more catered to, or they might have a very specialized catering market.
Oh yeah.
Well, I kind of wondered, with Sony buying up right stuff. Does that mean they're gonna get rid of physical media? Like, are they just gonna X that all out?
Actually, Sony
And
has a
They
really
I'm
might.
talking about like Blu-rays and things like that, and it's just gonna be the only way you can watch stuff is through streaming, and then they'll just up their streaming service to make
Yeah, I
Oh,
can
more
see
money.
that.
you got their
So,
plans already, Jenny. You got it.
I don't. I don't see that happening
I'm
because
helping them right here.
Say
They're
that. You
thinking.
say that, but they said the same thing about the video game market, and we still have physical video.
Not really, though. If
Yeah.
you've really been following the video game market like me, because I love video games, I have shelves and shelves of video games, especially newer stuff. They are starting to cut back more in the U.S. So now you have to
Yeah.
go outside of that just
So
to
get the
collect.
physical.
so
Like
best
like
Yeah, to
example.
find the physical, and sometimes you can't. There isn't one.
So there's two good examples here. Microsoft with their use of Game Pass.
Yeah,
The amount of physical games that cost money are very low. Most of their games now are worth like nothing, and if they make any. The second
yeah.
example would be Like a Dragon, the most
Yes,
recent
like a
release.
dragon. Yep,
Yeah.
that's what
There
I
is
thought of
no
too.
U.S. physical release
There is no
besides
US physical
the
release.
Well,
besides
what's interesting
ports.
about that is like the physical releases for games. I mean, take Spider-Man 2 for example. The collector's edition doesn't even have a physical disc.
Oh yeah, there's
That's the
Alan
one.
Wake
same with
Alan
that was
Wake
the same
2.
with Horizon.
Yep.
Horizon
Alan
Forbidden
yeah.
West did not have a disc.
Mhm.
Alan
Yep.
Wake 2, same
Yep.
deal. No physical release and it's a
No, only
AAA title.
digital. Yep.
Yeah,
Games
it's so
are
scary.
changing. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think
They're
Sony has
pissing off their
strong
collectors.
reason to actually keep physical discs because it's my understanding that they get paid some sort of a fee each time something is put onto a Blu-ray, like some sort of like a license agreement that they had because they were involved in making them. So they can't copy Netflix, where Netflix wants to push it more, where they do no physical releases because they don't want you to be able to just pop it in and watch. They want you to stay subscribed to their service and forget about it and keep charging you. Sony can't quite do that though, because they make money on both sides. You know, they get
So
money on the streaming side, but they get money from anything that goes on Blu-ray too.
so let me tell you something. There's 4K. Sony has nothing into 4K. At least not
But
as much
most
as
animes
Blu-ray.
aren't on Blu-ray though. I mean, they come out with like a few select animes that have to be like insanely popular, and most of the time it's generally just a few anime movies that go on to 4K.
Yeah, I think if we're talking about anime alone, then 4K really doesn't matter at this time. If we're talking about like regular movies, then maybe. But
I'm talking
Just
about
for
even then,
select
I mean,
market.
4K,
I don't know.
like a difference, and when you go 4K versus 2K versus 480i, whatever heck, you know, this because the source.
Yeah.
I
This
don't
is going to make you buy something else.
I
Or,
can't
like most of the time
higher
when
prices
Netflix has.
for the
Oh, go
4K
ahead.
disc because your TV will just upscale the content from 1080p to 4K. If you guys compare like the quality of like a Blu-ray upscale to 4K and native 4K on a good TV, I don't really think it's that noticeable of a difference to justify paying the higher price point for the 4K.
I kind of agree with you. I agree with you there. I think
I
for
don't
some
care.
people, yeah, I'm with you. I don't care.
It also
really
depends
don't.
on what their
I just want to
source
watch my
material
show.
is.
You
Yeah, I
know,
agree with Brandon.
Because like the masters, because I know like Neon Genesis Evangelion, I'm trying to remember, the Blu-ray release in Japan used the original masters from the show,
Wow.
but then the
They edited.
set here
isn't that like
in the
updating it
US,
though in a specific
and then
way
the
when it's
set
a
used.
remaster than when it comes out like 4K?
Oh, it's different. It's different. It's
Yeah.
weird. Because like the set here, from what I remember reading, was that they didn't use the original masters because it was too expensive, and that's another reason why they didn't use the "Fly Me Over the Moon" because of the licensing rights for the music.
Yeah,
Because
lame.
overall,
So
the cost for the licensing for, the original masters and then the music would have just been astronomically high. Could they gauge to figure out, will they break even, for the consumer to go in and actually buy the physical release? So it's questionable. There's a lot of times in the Japanese home video market where when a movie gets released in 4K. So for example, I have the Blu-ray box set release for Honey and Clover parts 1 and 2. It came in a box set and it never got released on Blu-ray before. And it actually uses the masters, but it's an upscale remaster. And there's actually specific companies that specialize in mastering or in upscaling masters. I don't remember what their names are, but like the company's names are. But there's times where they'll use like different processing methods to achieve that. Like Oremo, the Blu-ray set, I guess there was a lot of flack for it when it first came out in Japan on Blu-ray because they had quality issues. So they went back and they like re-scrubbed the video, and interesting deal. Yeah. So there's a lot of factors involved with that. So
That reminds me of the Chris the Stars release from Bandai, where it had some mastering issues from the original release, and then they released it again with another company called Sinram, and it was they fixed the problem, but there was like a lot of blurring in various scenes. There's a lot of kickback on that since there was a lot of advertisement for that time for Bandai for the Crest of the Star stuff.
Well, it also brings in, that kind of segues into the whole collecting thing, because there's times where will a collector go as far to collect an item that may have a mishap? Will they keep that item and go buy the corrected item? So, for example, Madoka, I've got 2 copies of the first volume La Magi Madoka, the first Blu-ray volume. Only reason is because the original press release version that they had released in Japan had a mono-only issue in a scene with Madoka and Homura in like the second episode where it only featured mono audio instead of stereo. And so they fixed it, they corrected it, and they emailed everyone that pre-ordered it and bought the first press release of it. And so they sent out free copies. And they were like, people emailed them back and they were like, do we send back the other ones? They go, no, you can keep them. And I'm like, wow, collector's item. Like,
Did that a lot
does a misprint or a mishap constitute a collector in keeping that item?
Sometimes you get those for free though, so I guess it's free and it's mine now. I mean, sometimes I keep both, sometimes I don't.
The
I'm
same
that
thing
weirdo
happened
who probably
with,
goes looking for them.
Yeah, it reminds me of the Gundam. Wasn't the Gundam Seed?
Gundam.
And it had a missing audio track or something like that.
Yep, Code Geass was another that happened to from Funimation.
Urusei Yatsura.
Yep, Animago. I have the replacement discs and the original ones.
Animago screwed up by not having the ending scene, the ending credits, and the ending song.
ReZero too. There was something wrong with one of the tracks. It was the dub track.
And they sent us those ugly discs. Yeah.
Yeah,
what'd they do to them?
A visual issue with ReZero, because there were like some scenes where you would have like the whole thing and it was like almost like completely black, and then there'd just be like a few parts where the picture was actually coming through.
Did you watch it? I watched some of it and I went, "Whoa, that's like really messed up."
Sure did.
I will give Crunchyroll some credit because I have sat down and watched like the stuff that is transferred over to Crunchyroll, and I like their mixing better. Like the audio is mixed a lot better to me. Like I notice I'm not like raising up the volume more to hear it. I don't know why. Something with Funimation's mixing quality, it was never really that great.
Well, it's like with when it comes to like physical releases against like streaming, when Seraph of the End was simulcasting on Funimation video site, episode, gosh, I want to say episode 6. Actually, when they first released it on streaming, it didn't have the language track, so it's just the music and the sound effects.
That's actually kind of funny.
So yeah, and I thought that would have been kind of cool if they included that in like an extras, like the whole episode like that.
I have
But it's
noticed
funny,
that
like
Crunchyroll isn't putting any music on the title screens for their Blu-ray at all. There's like nothing there. It makes me sad.
Yeah,
It makes me want to pop in a Bandai release or something so I can hear music.
Yeah, back with Pioneer, when
Incidental.
Pioneer were putting up their stuff, they had animated menus. Like,
Oh yeah, they did.
Oh,
No,
they took
and
time.
they did too.
Right.
Yeah.
but
When it's
as time went
accidental, you
on,
don't
the
get mad.
fancy stuff went away, and now we've got still, just words.
It's like a picture,
and
yeah.
Yeah.
some music in the background if you're lucky.
There's no extras either. I'm like, at least Funimation did like bloopers and interviews and
Mostly
stuff I would
ADV.
actually watch,
Funimation pissed me off with Kadocha though, so I don't know if I care about their extras.
Don't tell me they had a limited release, and then they took out lines, bleeped out stuff, and
Yeah.
that's they didn't have the license for it.
It's because they were too cheap
Putting
to
it
pay
out.
off the guys who did the theme song.
Which show is it?
It was Kodomo no Ochima. Child's Toy. It had a limited American release.
Oh
before
yeah, okay. I know what you're talking
They-
about.
They replaced the ending with the second season ending. They didn't want to pay the royalties on the
the
song.
singers, because
And then they bleeped them out because they had a cameo in the first episode. And I was
Oh, okay.
just like, that is so dumb.
it was just heartbreaking because it was.
I don't disagree that Funimation has done some questionable things over the years. They took one show and released it, didn't tell anybody that it was censored, and released it. And then re-released it uncensored, so then you had to buy it again.
Hey, which show was this?
It was the one... I can't remember the name of it. It was the one where the guy was like in love with zombies or something like that.
Was it the?
Wasn't it Takara
was
or
it Kore wa zombie desu ka?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
A zombie? Is this a zombie?
No. It wasn't Is This a Zombie? It was the other one that they're talking about.
Oh,
I know what you're talking about.
Zombieland Saga.
Now I'm gonna have to look it up and I'll send it
or
to
Zombie
you guys.
Lone. Or Zombie Lone.
Oh, it's the one. It's a romance series. It was done by the same creator as
Korea? Is that the one?
Fruits Basket.
Ankarea, that's it.
Ankarea,
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Because they made like a limited edition release, and it's censored, I think, and then the other one that's standard isn't, because I have both of them. Yeah.
No.
I don't have the limited release then. I only got the standard
That's
release.
just pain.
Yeah, one
that
is
angers me.
censored, one isn't.
But it was
Yep.
just one scene, though.
I wonder which one I got.
Was it only one scene?
Yeah, my understanding is they
Well, now
censored one scene that where they showed like a really brief bit of nudity and like a shower scene, and they said that was like the only thing. So it was kind of a joke that there was a huge backlash when it was something that was like a second.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
I know
the
mine's a
fandom
limited.
community.
Yeah,
fandom
but the
community
anime
accepts
community,
nothing.
man, we want it
Yeah,
all.
we want it all, yeah.
Yeah.
We want unadulterated.
That's the
pure,
same thing with games,
uncensored
man. I don't want them to
trash.
censor a game. Give me the whole game.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
and then if you don't like it, don't buy it. That's my whole
Exactly.
thing. Like,
Yeah.
just don't buy whatever it is.
No.
When it comes to that and like physical releases, what does everyone think about with Right Stuff moving like shifting away. What do you think the pricing market will be as far as like Sony's decision? Because I
Horrible.
think that Sony's
Horrible.
going to up the prices.
Yeah, I do
And I
too.
think they'll
They've
up the
already.
Crunchyroll membership
Mhm.
by the end of the year.
They already-
Something's going to happen.
they
I think the pricing model will go up because there's not enough competition from another major distributor.
Right.
I mean, why would
Yeah,
Sony
yeah.
reduce pricing when they don't really have to?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't make any
Right,
sense.
exactly.
They'll put it up
On the
somewhere,
streaming.
where they feel they can get more money, enough money to get their profit shares up. No, I'm not against making money. I don't. I just have a problem that's
No.
not enough competition. So a company does not have to go an extra mile to make my time with my money worth it. So they'll put out something with a basic set with nothing fancy wrapper, cardboard box, that with no graphics on it, and they'll say, "Hey, man, here you go. There's nothing on it. We don't have to worry about it." Or they'll make maybe it to be return of the multi set, where you have
that's
one
why-
disc. They'll give you a
Oh God!
art
Don't
block,
say that,
Don't.
Roger.
I
Stop.
doubt we're going back to that.
I'm
No.
sorry, but I like
really
I
doubt
like
that.
that era. Thank
I
you.
like single volume sets. I agree.
Same.
You can buy them all together now, but back then when I was buying them, no. I mean, I'm sorry. I didn't like only getting 4 episodes and paying all that money. I'm sorry. And then I had to wait months to get another part of the set. And then was I going to be able to find it?
I was going to say,
Imagine how
I
much
do
One
if
Piece would
there is a
cost.
box for the volumes.
No, I'm saying, I'm talking about back when I was younger and I was going out on my own and it was releasing.
Yeah.
No,
I think
now
one of the coolest,
yes.
You're aging yourself there.
That's okay.
I think one of the coolest things about
Jenny. I understand.
Sadness. It was
But I
sadness.
still like them better.
Oh, I
think
do.
one of-
I agree. I love the packaging.
Oh, yeah,
Yes,
the
I
packaging
agree.
is amazing.
It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
But they are. It goes back to our dilemma of storage and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, it goes full circle.
Oh, here we go. Domino
I think one of the
from the truth bomb.
I think one of the coolest things about single volume collecting, though, and I do remember this when I was going to like Best Buy, or if anybody remembers Suncoast.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Suncoast was great. But anyway, like
yeah.
the single volume sets, and like it increased the anticipation for me as a collector to want that series more when it was releasing in several episodes once a month or once every couple months, because like at Best Buy, the single volume sets for Bleach included an exclusive store bonus at Best Buy, which was a patch, like a little felt patch, for each volume. And I'm like, heck yeah, what am I going to get next month? Like exciting, collector's item. But like, you go over to places like Suncoast, well, you did, and they would have tons of single volume sets like Shakugan no Shana, and it was just really cool. Samurai 7 was another set that I have, and Samurai Champloo, Trigun. Like, it's so cool to have those sets, because when they had single volume sets, and Japan does this a lot, it does increase a collector's want to have that show more.
That's true.
Or
The
maybe
imports still have that.
it'll increase the anticipation for them to buy more merchandise of that particular show as
Volume
well,
1 or
which
Volume
is
2.
cool.
Not really.
Whatever one it is, and they'll give you a box set, and you got to cut the rest of it. But they have a little standee inside of it, or some little gift inside of it.
T-shirt.
Yeah.
In terms
Oh,
of
T-shirts are
Sony's
great. Yeah.
Oh, I have a lot of t-shirts. In terms of Sony's ambition, though, they're already losing titles from Viz to Hulu.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So the streaming, in terms of streaming, they do have a lot of competition between Netflix and Hulu and Prime. They're going to have to fight tooth and nail to get titles if they start trying to raise prices on them. That's why you're never going to have a streaming service go up above $13. It's just not going to happen. They can't compete with the big names. But they can raise prices on their exclusive licensing titles for DVD releases, because who's competing with them? Nobody.
Well, my thing is, here's my question, everybody. Like, where is your money limit gonna be when and if Sony comes out and they're like, we're gonna up getting a limited edition to like $80, $90. Let's see
Already
who
at
shells
100.
out. We're gonna do Amniplex prices because, well, we can. We can do what we
Oh, it's
want.
gonna be a
Yep,
lot more
they're
than 80
already
or
doing
90.
that.
Yeah,
They're
Well,
already doing
there's
that.
more of
already
that.
doing that for 80 and 90.
Okay. All right.
They,
They
yep,
are.
go
Marketers like Discotech
go look.
won't be an influence on Sony's pricing scam. So it just there needs to be somebody else. Sentai, and they're in a state of flux. I think.
Well,
You
Sentai's
know,
the only thing closest besides Viz to
For
really
Viz is
doing
me,
actually
anything.
haven't even
it
released
just
anything. Viz is
This
like
has very
out.
little though in
Yeah.
the name
Yeah, their
of
catalog is
releases.
pretty
Yeah,
minimalistic.
pretty
Yeah.
tiny.
It's just going to cause them to have more sales, and people are going to buy things on sale and hold out for sales, or they're going to buy them used on eBay or off of whatever store is local to them, Book Off, whatever. They're
I just
gonna
don't
hold
see
out.
I don't see people on eBay like lowering their prices, but
No, I've
you
seen
know,
I've seen for eBay that it's been raising prices. I've
yeah,
been buying less
raising,
Yeah.
from
yeah,
eBay,
Oh yeah,
like
definitely.
But not forever.
tomorrow. This year has been
yeah.
like very minimal.
Mhm.
I
It's
think what's
kind
going
of
to
surprising.
happen is that this is just
And the price on
my
everything
guess.
has gone up. It's
I
just
think
the
Oh
way it
yeah.
is.
I think
Yeah.
what's going to happen is with Sony having, with all this merger stuff and right stuff going away, we may not see as many sales. The sales might be good, like during Black Friday, possibly.
Yeah,
But
are we gonna get those sales
I think
though?
what's going to
Yeah.
happen though is that it's not going to be one of those things where the prices are going up on physical media and possibly the streaming, services for like Crunchyroll, because Sony just wants to. I think what's going to happen is that they're going to be like, our licensing agreement with these Japanese publishers is going to go up. So buying that artwork that we so want on like a particular front cover of an art box or maybe on the Blu-ray menu might go up like 2%. And so that's going to drive the revenue cost to go up even further. So I think that's going to be a huge issue in the next couple of years, is that these prices are going to go up simply because the licensing contracts are going to be higher priced. So I don't know. It's just a theory, but I just think that that's something that's going to happen. Physical media is still kind of pricey right now, and so with the streaming market, I think the streaming market has like driven that price to go up.
Oh, for sure.
So and it's interesting to see that kind of happen, but it's also shows how dedicated collectors are, and so I agree. I think I think there has to be like some answer, and like maybe there has to be another company that needs to come in, because Sony owns a lot. I mean, they own a ton.
Control the beginning and the end of it. They got the house to make anime. They can distribute it. They can package it. They can stream it. They have the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you compare?
Yeah, but
How do you compete? They can compete against that. Even with ADV, I mean, they didn't own the whole thing. They had like voice acting. They had packaging. They had distribution, licensing. But they didn't have
forgetting though that
the ability to make it. I think they tried with what was that? Was Sin? They tried once, or Lady Death, or something. But it's nothing
Bandai
compared.
had all that too.
Yeah, Bandai did have all that. And some of their releases they actually stopped releasing, and they only released like part one of stuff, like Bakuman. I think
Bandai
Star
killed
Driver
themselves
might be the
too.
other one. They might have done part two.
They
I
had
can't remember.
Star Driver they did.
Did they?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, yeah.
They
But
had
Bandai shot
Bakuman, yeah,
themselves
they
in
only
the foot
released
the
like
way
7
that
episodes or something.
Bandai shot themselves in the foot the way that Sony is gearing up to shoot themselves in the foot, and it's just going to happen because they think that we've cornered the majority of the market, now we can do what we want, and people are going to be like, yeah, no, I'm not.
They can't monopolize. They can't do it. Like
No,
People gonna
it
fight.
just
especially
can't
not in the
happen
U.S. where
legally.
Well, not only that,
legally
but
in the
no matter
U.S.
what, anime is just a want. It's not a need. If I wanted to, I wouldn't be any fun anymore. But I don't need it.
Yep.
There's going to be a curve where people up here said this is how much I'm going to go, and
Well,
if it goes much higher, it's going to.
just like what Jenny was saying before, pricing yourself out the market.
Exactly.
That's
Oh
the
yeah,
actual
totally.
um,
Yeah.
phenomenon that happens.
The
If
same
does.
exact
And
thing
they
happened
stopped
to
doing.
Atari. If you talk about the story of Atari, how they were at first they were the biggest video game marketer distributor in America, but they started putting out mad stuff, and they raised prices and finally people said we're not going to pay for it. You're not going to spend $300 on a console equivalently, and then buy ET, buy ET or Pac Man, and get
right,
get something that's something from hell. And so I had to explain this.
Say that they've already killed their market once by switching to a format that everybody hated, which was you had to be part of the PlayStation Store to get digital copies, and they never released things. That's what killed it for me. I stopped collecting games at that point. I was just like, forget it. I'm not buying any more content from Sony. Their store got closed or defunct or whatever they did with it. I don't. I think the majority of my titles on there are no longer playable.
If they were to make all newer PlayStations fully backwards compatible, I would still be buying systems and games for them.
Right?
I
Oh
got
yeah, for sure.
Okay, so this is where I'm mad at the Sony fans. Okay,
oh
so
no.
PlayStation 3
Here we go.
they did release a backwards compatible PS2, PS1, PlayStation 3. It cost like $600, and everyone completely complained about it.
Oh.
They're like, "Why is it so much? Why is it so much?" Unfortunately, to do that, it costs money for Sony, and Sony had to do that. But because everyone complained, they cut back, made another PlayStation. You could still play PS1 games on it, but you couldn't play PS2 anymore. And it cut the pace. It was $300. And they did. They were able to remove what cost more to make it. And then everyone complained, "Why can't we have backwards compatibility?" I'm like, you guys, shut up.
See, they
Another
set
reason
in
behind that,
going
because at
forward
the
and not
time,
try to back up and do it later. That's the problem.
It's the cell technology inside the PS3 that actually made it harder for them to go back and actually release digital versions of games. Look at Final Fantasy 13. Like, there's stuff in that game that even the PS4 couldn't handle, and which is weird to say that. But because what was going on was it had processor chips. It was a dual processor chip section that was inside the PlayStation 3. Can't remember the exact terminology, but the PS4 and the PS5 don't have that, and it's something like 148 like megabytes, where it was running in tandem between each other, whereas like now we have only one like slot for reading. It's like pre-processing memory or something. I don't know the term, but yeah, it's really interesting. Yeah, that's why you all see on the PlayStation Store now that PS3 games are typically only streamed rather than downloaded.
Well, the game will have to be made for the chip, so they have to include whatever chip it is that made the console, right? If it's cell, the emotion chip, whatever chip that came inside inside the PS1, they actually had to build that physical structure inside the game system. Each one will cost more money. So yeah, eventually, there's nobody's going to buy it. The last time I saw something crazy like that was like the Neo Geo. We actually got the game. You got it. But the console was $700 plus, and then each game was $300. So
they
now you
actually
have
had
an
that.
enthusiast market. That's that only the rich old people can have it, and they don't do it because they were gamers and when they were young. They like to play Samurai Showdown 2, and the real deal in the console. No hacks. There's a lot of attraction to that.
What were you saying there?
There was other reasons. I said there's other reasons that they had to make different versions of the PS3 is because at one point or another, the group online of hackers discovered how to break into and basically jailbreak the PS3. And they were scrambling to come up with a version that they couldn't jailbreak. And they failed miserably. But it did create a lot of lawsuits, and then Anonymous was kicking their butt on the network and all that stuff in retaliation. So that was a big piece of why they have like 6 different versions of PS3. But I still have my backwards compatible, and
I
it suffered.
I do too. Yeah.
All the other ones did.
Mine's over
it
there.
died.
Yeah, it's funny because like the original PS3 had an actual PlayStation 2 processor chip inside of it, which is why it could play PlayStation 2 games. But then they switched over for more, like you were saying, cheaper model because they used emulation software rather than using an actual processor chip, which is really sad because I'm sure that like the PS5 they could just like I don't know anything about like coding or that kind of thing, but I think it would be really cool if they added like one little chip inside the PS5 that you could play all these previous generation games. That'd be so
a lot
cool.
of the,
Like a
the
Raspberry
problem
Pi.
was
Raspberry Pi can do
Yeah.
it.
Companies out there that do have emulator boxes, right? And they have a box. You can play whatever game that you want to buy from them, and whatever disc it is or whatever chip they send to you. It's not legal, but there is a market for emulated software. If you want to play Space Invaders, maybe.
the only thing I ever emulated was like classic cabinet games that I liked, but that's because by now
play those old games again. Yeah,
now it's impossible to play them any other way on modern technology.
because the language is not written for this new processor stuff. They have to code it. They have just like a good place to talk about is great old games where they actually have a DOS box environment. They download the game, you get the game. You don't get the packaging, you don't get the other stuff, but you do get the game. So that's something people are doing. So that's to get the game.
I didn't care about the packaging of my PC games back in the 90s. I really don't. No one cares.
I know, sadly, isn't it?
Nice big box that have the floppies
Like
inside.
All the boxes I tossed.
And instruction manuals, how to load it. It takes forever.
I
kept
still have
everything.
my Commodore 128 Ultima games in boxes, but that's different.
That's awesome. Yeah, I tossed all my Amiga boxes. I so regret that.
I'm sorry. You can join Roger in the Hall of Shame of throwing away cases.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
Start with that old wound. But back in the day, I get to talk about it. Now I get to talk about it. Back in the day, I was trying to save room. I said, I got to display my stuff. So best way of making it happen, I know. I'll take all my anime, I'll compress it into smaller case discs and just keep the first wrapper. And eventually I had a mountain full of wrappers. I said, well, do I really want to keep this? I said, no, I guess not. I've never.
That's why there's a special hell for Roger.
The confession hell. I find that done. I'm so happy to have all this stuff. And then I got me upset. I don't have all the stuff anymore.
Tell me how you really feel, huh? No, I like to pick. I like to pick on Roger for this. I'm like, he has done what collectors will like lynch him for. It's just like, how dare!
I have me bought my collection 3 times and overall. So I don't recommend
Get out
your collection. If I started first by having the multi sets and then buying the thinner box type version of it, then taking the thinner box and ordering several hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth of thin, super thin, half inch cases with the number of discs inside of them, and then put a wrapper on that. I went all the way to the extreme. And then after doing that, I realized that it was no fun. It was no fun looking at thin boxes. It was no fun.
Domino, confess your sins. What have you ever done?
Yeah, you got a big one there,
collectors.
Okay, well, this is a sin I don't quite regret because that goes back to the dilemma of the rooms, whatever. Well, my biggest sin is I did have no choice. My room was I had a whole garage full of boxes for figures, and I finally said, you know what, I can't do it. So I only picked and choose some of the boxes to keep. I had to just get rid of. Actually, I gave them to some friend who wanted them. I'm like, you can have the boxes. Take them.
That's a great friend there.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
I let them have the boxes.
Forgiven. The taquito.
But so I made this internal pact where some boxes I just gotta go, and then some boxes I'll keep, and then some figures I'll just leave open, and they'll stay in their box forever. So there's that.
All right.
And I've had to make that choice. Huh? What?
I said confession accepted.
Okay, thank you.
Oh
I didn't know
God.
things are there.
Go 5 Hail Marys and 2 Hello Dolly.
All right, I'll be back, guys. 5 Hail Marys.
Collecting real quick. So if I have everybody here that knows about everything, has anybody seen the issue 0 of Protoculture Addicts? The cover of it.
Of
What
which
is
one?
this thing? Is it
Protoculture
tasty?
Addicts had a mythical volume
good
0.
luck.
It's been my quest to find it, and the closest thing I've ever got is a little thumbnail that Elaine found for me.
You said protocol. What was the last word?
Addict was
Proto-
early.
He's talking about Protoculture Addicts.
Yeah, thank you.
Protoculture Addicts.
Okay.
I have every single
You
issue, every
butchered that
version of
name,
it.
sir.
So I have every single version of every single of Ag in that series, including the first printing of the volume 1 and 2, and all that. But I've never seen a cover of the volume 0.
0. It's okay, Roger. Even if I had it, I wouldn't tell you.
That's all right. It's all right, Eileen. There is forgiveness.
Wow.
There is forgiveness. There is redemption for people like that. Just give me your issues.
No. See, if I tell him I have it, he will be bothering me for months.
Yeah.
And if I don't have it,
where you
he'll
live
be
at.
bothering me to find it for months. There's no winning.
She's like, you mean
All right, Brandon.
yeah.
Brandon, I have to hear. I have to hear your anime sins. We're in confession
Okay.
mode. Stop distracting us, Roger. You were the greatest sinner.
I am the biggest sinner of us all. But I paid the price 3 times over.
Let's see. Gosh, I don't even know what I would call this like a sin.
If you need a minute to think of it, I'll move on to
But like,
William.
okay. So, I mean, I've got a couple of anime that I've opened that I've regretted actually opening. Like, there we go. Like,
Okay.
As far as like, let's see. I bought multiple copies of shows because I wanted to open one and then not open the other.
That's not a
That's
sin.
sin.
Sin
Okay, does that
That's
count?
called
Sin
a
is
start.
destroying something that you can no longer be collected.
I can't. I have not thrown anything.
Okay.
I
So
still keep
we have one purist at
I
heart
still
here.
keep the box insert art that goes inside of a storage box for a single volume set. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm
That's
kind of a
pretty
nerd.
Can't wait for my turn.
Oh my gosh.
Go ahead, Rusei Yatsura fan. Where's your sins?
How about literally tearing apart and destroying some 1,000 anime magazines so they could be scanned? And then what do you do with them? Nobody wants
no.
them. They go into the recycle bin.
Oh, here we go.
I will take them. Just let me know.
All right. I
Sexual
mean,
hell.
I'm working on
Sexual
stacks
hell.
of Animedia right now.
I'll take them.
You're gonna tear apart Animedias? How dare?
I just cut, while we were talking, just finished cutting up 12 issues of 1992. That's where that poster came from.
All right.
Normal.
That makes me mad. I'm sorry. Get out.
That's pretty painful, isn't it?
They'll live forever.
In digital media.
That's a copy.
No.
Jordy,
It's a
They won't
copy.
I have
live
to
for,
give
what
it
if,
to you. You have
okay,
my internal
you knew it was
loyalty
a
for making this happen. Nobody, nobody. I don't have ever have a magazine, digital storage kind of thing like you're doing. So
if you knew it was the last copy available on the internet, would you?
Yeah, would you splice it?
Oh,
Oh, he
jeez.
would, I
No. If it was something like that, it was the only ever copy of something like, say, Protoculture Addicts 0. If I got my hands on that,
Yeah.
I would take hours or days or weeks to scan it so that it did not get damaged. If it's like Yurusei Yatsura on the cover, I'll take the staple out, I'll scan it the long, slow boat way, and then if I want, I could try and put the staple back in, but I'd probably just leave it as is, put it in a nice little case, and hey, look, it's a magazine. Don't touch.
Don't touch.
I'm pretty cringy about disassembling things, but at the same time, I used to take Right Stuff catalogs and rip out the adult section.
Me too.
And the whole back cover.
That's a high sin.
So that my mother would not be mad at me.
My mom didn't
She's like,
care.
what is this section about? No, my parents are Puritans. Okay, Well, let's hear the rest of your sins. I have to hear this because I'm pretty sure everyone except for Brandon, Mr. Goody Two Shoes, has done something.
Yeah.
I think it's
I'm driving this topic.
William's turn.
It is
There
William's
are
turn.
two things that I did. Back when I first started collecting, I was kind of hyper focused on wanting to own every single thing, just as long as it was dubbed. So it was really hard to come up with money to buy all those. So what I would do is I would always buy the limited editions purely so I could remove the extra second case that had the DVDs in it and sell that for about like half the full price of what I paid to someone else to recoup my money to buy more. So I did
Yeah, I
that.
get you.
A huge portion of my LE sets are just the Blu-ray case only and only the Blu-ray discs because I did that. And then later it was even worse when I realized when I was starting out, hey, people are willing to pay a lot of money for just the box. So if I sell the DVD case and the box as like two separate things, I'm basically getting the Blu-ray discs for free. So I did that with a lot of them. And later on, I realized, oh shit, most of these things are like priceless. I mean, you can't even find them for like the usual $250 or like the $300. And then the other mistake I made is I wanted decor early on and I didn't want to shell out the cash for it. So anytime I'd get an anime and it would come with like one of those like art books, like similar to what Infinite Stratus Premium Edition 2 had, I'd literally cut out the pages to those and like pin them to the wall.
Oh, my heart.
Yeah, I did that with any time I could find those. I think the one that I
No.
most regret though, I got the original. I got the original Inebio and Other Delusions Premium Edition, and I stupidly sold the extras in it. And ever since, I've always regretted that I lost the book that came in the first one.
Yeah.
That's a
Well,
hard one there.
I'm gonna be a hypocrite here, but if you still have the swag from any of those, I will take it.
Swag coming for you. Let's go honor with her.
Hey, let's hear it, Jenny. Jenny, what have you?
Trying to think. I know one of the worst things I did was I took my VHS tapes and threw them out. Like literally tossed them in the trash when I was a kid.
Goodness.
I went, I don't need these anymore.
Oh, yes.
Threw them
yes.
away.
Yeah, I want to keep it forever.
Yeah.
That makes me sad now, but you know, when I was a kid, I just thought, oh, I have these on DVD now, so I don't need these anymore, and I threw them out.
I've had moments where I thought about
my
it, but
soul.
I can't do it.
You know,
And I don't know if bootlegs count, but I did own quite a few bootlegs back in the day.
I still have
fine?
I still have my VKLL Sailor Moon stars. Like that's a thing. That's a nostalgia thing.
You're not alone, Jenny. We have other people that did the same exact thing as that.
I think we were all kind of in the same boat long ago because we didn't know better.
We didn't know no better. Yeah, you're just like, I don't need these. I did have a few that like didn't work anyway, so you know, eventually VHS tapes wear out, but the other ones, they worked. Just throw them out.
It depends on the VHS to me. Like they overprinted a lot of titles, a lot. It was just like, okay, how many different versions of this one VHS are? But at the same time, now when they're harder to find, it's like, oh, I wish I hadn't done that.
Yeah.
I never had VHS, except for the Sailor Moon movies. I don't know.
The one I still want that I don't know if I can find is like Mermaid Forest, not the TV series, but the older one.
Yeah,
I wish I could have that on like. I wish it was on DVD or something.
Mermaid Star. There was a Mermaid Forest on Rumic World.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember when it.
I think that was
part of the
CPM Rumic World. They had Fire Tripper. They had the Mermaid
Laughing Target.
They had,
we're gonna
Gal, Maris Mars, Kojo.
Help us, Discotheque. You're our
Yeah, they were
Help us, Discotheque. I need to write to them. Maybe they'd answer me if I wrote to them and say, "Hey, can you guys pick this up?"
Maybe they'll fight Sode.
It's our last great anything that's really cool.
You know what's funny? Yesterday, one of the video game companies actually wrote me back right on Facebook because I said, "Oh, I might pick up this," and they went, "I would grab it now."
Oh,
Like they wrote
what
right
was
back to me and said, it was Shin Chan's summer vacation that is coming out for the Switch, and they got a hold of some copies, and I
Yeah.
kind of wanted it.
I'm not a huge Shin Chan person, so I'm.
I heard the game's
Alright.
actually pretty cute and not as
Eh,
I guess adult
it,
as it is, but
it's one
I
of those
don't know.
situations where if they tell you to buy it, you should buy it. I forget who it was who told me that I needed to buy the copies of. I was at a convention and they were telling me from Sentai's table that if I didn't buy a copy of something right then, it was going to be gone. I forget what it was. Anyway, Koyami, your sin.
Your sins, confess your sins.
Confess.
Confess.
I'm trying to think if I have any.
You do.
Oh, we have another good
Deep
Tuesday.
inside your soul, it's there.
Roger knows your deep
I
dark
was gonna say,
secrets.
do
Let's
I?
hear them.
Do I listen to me trying to think?
It's funny. Well,
Do you
I
have
mean,
any
might
with
be a real-
figures? You probably don't with figures though.
Not with figures.
No, I imagine he's
I mean, like I
wrapping
said,
his
with
boxes up
games
in
way back
plastic
when.
wrap. And
With games? Wait,
Yeah,
what?
because I never used to keep the boxes long ago.
Oh, what?
There it is.
That's a sin. There you
Yep,
go.
Amiga,
You have
PC.
sinned.
But I really want to
Well,
find
back
out
in
what
the
Ed's greatest anime sin. I want to hear it. Ed, it's your
He's a
time.
Even
goody
Genesis.
two shoes. He doesn't have any.
Yeah, I was gonna say I was good as a kid. I didn't
Are
throw
you
away
good?
anything.
Yeah,
I still
you
have
seemed
my
like you were
original
good.
Pokemon games
Oh
in
my god,
box
yeah. In
with the
box.
wrap.
I
Like
thought it was for that for my
sin is that he
That is
outbids me on
impressive.
eBay.
I didn't have any Pokemon games, so I guess we don't.
Blue.
I don't have any of those.
I figured the other games were just rehashes of that game, so I never bothered.
no, I
I
bought
guess
every
the
one of them.
option is like selling my Nintendo for like $50 with like I don't know 40 games back in the
I
day.
still have my
Just getting
original
rid of
Nintendo.
just getting rid of it. Just
I do.
I don't feel bad about it though. Like years later, a friend gave me one for free.
But
So
what games did you sell though at the time?
uh. I don't even remember. See, that's how much I didn't care. The only game I
Yeah.
ever played was like River City Ransom was one that I really loved.
Okay.
But really, I mean, I didn't have a deep attach. Same thing with my Sega. I still got my Sega Genesis, but if it was gone tomorrow, I don't think I'd really care. You
Maybe
know?
like
Yeah.
4 games on my Sega
But
Genesis.
childhood.
I guess I had moved on. Like I got out of gaming for a while. What got me back in was Final Fantasy VII.
Really?
If I never would have saw 7, I probably never would have been into games.
Huh.
I bet. Yep.
Wow.
I didn't actually take care of the boxes to my games either. When I was a kid, it was like all my Nintendo.
Oh yeah, all my what is it? The the Nintendo games? None of mine had boxes or
Super
cases
NES.
or anything.
Well,
yeah.
Oh man, you were
all of
some
mine
kid.
had boxes.
Yeah.
They were
Like I
they
can't
were
understand
destroyed.
that.
Well, my parents probably bought them cheap, you know, like we didn't have a lot of money back then, so it wasn't like they were like, here's this pristine box for like, you know,
I think
take care of that.
The game that I had a box for back in the day was Final Fantasy 1, and I have no idea where I put the bestiary that was in there.
Uh-oh.
In the house. But
Sin.
it wasn't in pristine condition either. We didn't
I still have that.
a lot of money.
Uh-oh.
And,
He's gonna have to send it in the care package.
Most of my Nintendo games, yeah, just send it to me. But anyways, the Nintendo games I had were just cartridge only because that's all we could afford. And
yeah,
it's the same thing. I made a pact to myself because I like to buy a lot of used older games. I do not buy cartridges. Well, at least Game Boy and Game Boy Advance, maybe depending on the game. But I won't buy a Nintendo cartridge or a 64 cartridge without a box or anything, because there's a lot of those that are fake. But they still play the game. But and the only way to tell is if you open them up.
Yep.
And there's like videos on
Oh,
YouTube.
okay.
That shows you
Mhm.
what
Oh, you're talking about the repro carts that now
Yeah.
these businesses are selling.
And
Yeah.
they're selling them like they're their old original
Yeah, I
games.
don't like that. Yes.
So I see a lot of people. They're like, look, I'm selling these cartridges, and I'm like, I just turn away because it's like, even if that's a Lufia or what or a Final Fantasy or
It's
even
probably
Chrono
not.
Trigger,
Yeah.
I can't prove that it's the real thing unless.
Well, what sucks is like some of the businesses here, I've gone to them and they will mark that they're repro, but the thing is, I'm not worried about them. I'm worried about the people picking it up and then popping it on eBay later going, "Oh, this is real."
This is the original.
And
That's
yeah.
an ethical dilemma, really, by that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't really
I don't
buy
play
as much retro as some of you guys do, so I'm kind of safe,
No,
you know.
I
Safe.
don't really retro anymore.
Yeah,
kills me-
I gave a lot of that up.
PS1 retro. That's as far as retro.
Yeah, PS1. That was what I collected. PS1, PS2.
Hey.
For Rich, I would have been collecting arcade consoles, like big cabinet
Oh, I
arcades.
wanted
I
those.
love those things.
Oh
So
man,
cool.
we're getting into the expensive.
And space.
Heh.
But those
We're
are
talking
like
about
space,
again.
yeah.
expensive
Oh yeah, for
and
sure.
rare. And then you have to worry about maintaining them. It's
Oh,
like
yeah.
super complicated.
I still have my Famicom system with the disc drive
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
Oh, that's
pretty
cool.
and the Turbo Duo.
Oh, ooh.
Pretty cool.
Its biggest sin is that he outbids me on eBay.
You still salty about that
I'm
one
still
time?
salty. No,
What was
there's
that
more
one
than
I
one.
stole from you?
How dare you?
I have
Actually,
no
you
Remember-
didn't
regrets.
steal that one from me.
It was one of your
I was
599 or whatever on your watch list.
It was an NIS set, but I was just watching it. I wasn't actually going to buy it.
Unless
Gotcha.
the one that I was bidding on.
That's why I don't tell any of you clowns what I'm buying.
Yep.
'Cause
Rule
I
number
Tell
one,
them
not
till
until you
after
buy
they
it.
outbid me.
Because
Yeah.
Roger will get in there. Especially like if you're at a
Yeah.
store.
Oh,
He'll
really?
dash on ahead.
Shoo out of
Oh.
the way. And like,
Mr.
he's
Passenger.
like, ugh, and just steal it.
Roger.
He'll like
the
make
Well,
a
no,
beeline. Yeah, he'll make a beeline. Edward saw it.
I saw him
Oh my
run.
god.
I
Yep.
saw
Oh, really?
Roger run, and he runs.
Oh yeah.
He does
Yeah.
run? Wow.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Like
Holy
it's
crap.
a fast
He'll outrun
walk
you.
to
He's
run,
cutthroat.
but yeah,
It's a brisk pace.
very brisk.
Okay.
Very brisk.
But
I gotta see this. That's funny.
when I go to anime selling like used anime shops, and I get Roger on the phone and I'm showing him the
Uh-oh.
shelves, I always go through first without him
Oh, yeah, yeah.
As you should.
to get what I want.
You get what you want first. Yeah.
Yeah.
Geno Cyber and My Little Pony and stuff like
My
that.
Little Pony. Wait, Geo
I'm sending-
Cyber,
I'm
My
I'm gonna
sending
Little
drop
Roger.
off
Pony.
now, so I'm gonna say goodbye. But this has been
Oh,
fun.
okay.
All
right.
Sorry.
I'm going to
Take
send.
care,
I'm
buddy.
going to send Roger every version of Geno Cyber just to get for Christmas.
Do it. Do it.
That'd be hilarious.
I have an honor.
Well, there's a few versions of it, yeah. There's like 4 with a tape, and there's the LD, and there's different versions.
Either that or Boy Love.
I like
send him
because,
some
oh yeah, send him Boy Love. I'm more excited. Do that. Do that. It'd be funny.
It would be hilarious.
He'd probably throw it out though, and that's kind of sad. So
At least have an honor system. I will not do that to you guys. You know, if you're like, oh, look at this. Even though I may want it, I'll probably be like, here you go, because I just can't do that. Now, if I'm by myself and you're not around, I'm gonna be like, okay, fine.
Well,
Yeah, I don't
yeah.
have no honor.
Yeah,
Oh,
who
if
are you
they're
competing
talking about
against?
if they're like bidding on it.
But
Is
yeah,
that what you mean? Okay.
I went to an anime convention and I went to the back table of this. They have a yard sale event every year.
I love
Oh,
those.
yeah.
People can sell their own private stuff. I went
Mhm.
around like super fast paced. Like I zoomed around that place
Yeah,
and found an Imagination copy of Cat's Eye for $5.
nice.
And everybody looked at it and were staring at it. I was just like, move.
No, put it
The
down.
whole
Put it back down.
It's just like, put it down. If you buy it before me, I will slap you across.
I
No,
will
I didn't
slap
do
you.
that.
Oh my god.
But nobody wanted it because it only had one disc in it, and I was like, I don't care, it's mine.
Yeah,
No.
that's probably why it was $5 because it was one disc and it looked kind of the imagination ones, like you look at it without knowing the history behind. It's like, okay, that looks wrong.
Yeah, that's what happened. I think that's what happened to me with what was it? What was it? What was that? I remember seeing that on eBay one time. It was what was the
The Imaginations. They
Orgus?
had,
Orgus Super
yeah.
Dimension
Yeah,
Fortress.
Orgus. Yeah,
Dimensional Orgus.
They
yeah,
I
released
looked at
it.
it and I
They
said, you know what?
released
This
it with
doesn't look like
just
the
the
right
box
cover.
art.
I
yeah.
just I don't look like right, so I just went right past, buy it, buy it. I passed it, and then I realized, wait a minute, that's a new version. I went back and everybody bought it. That piece of shit.
That's
Bought
still
it
the
from
only
me.
time I've seen Orgus show up on.
I couldn't
Well-
believe it. I was looking at it. Literally was looking at it. I said, this doesn't look like the right cover. It's just not, it's a bootleg. That's not the right
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Well, I have to head out, everyone.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
Have a
right.
good day.
Yeah,
Bye.
have a good one.
Thanks for being
Yep,
here.
I need to
Thanks
go
for-
too.
thanks
for
Thanks,
being
guys.
part of
Thanks
the
for having me.
Nod Project.
Bye.
This is